Let's talk Pakistani dramas. We're continuing our roundups for 2025, and today we have arrived at our top 10 Pakistani dramas of 2025. To qualify for this list, the show has to have ended in 2025 or within the first 2 weeks of January. All other shows will be considered for the 2026 list. This is not a list based on popularity or TRPs, rather it's a personal list based on shows which made an impact, shows which I believe will stand the test of time, shows which I will happily recommend to others. The 10th spot has a tie. At the 10th spot is a show that may come as a surprise, a show that many others may have ranked higher. Meem Se Mohabbat slides in at the 10th spot, a story which pulled in audiences with its sweet romance. Struggling with his own insecurities, Talha finds himself drawn to the bubbly Roshi. But can love overcome all, especially when the obstacles are self-created? Meem Se Mohabbat is that sweet bubblegum romance that many yearned for, and Ahad Zamir and Dananir Mobeen's chemistry had many talking for much of 2025. The show had many episodes dedicated to unnecessary complications and interferences, which is why this otherwise enjoyable show finds itself ranked much lower on the list. Farrar is the second show in the 10th spot and tells a beautiful tale of upbringing between cultures, but more importantly, the importance of good parenting regardless of location. The generation gap is a real thing, but how can parents connect children of today while still effectively parenting? That's the question Farrar attempts to tackle. Farrar does lose steam in places, but overall, this is compelling storytelling with an important message. At number 9 is Dunyapur. Dunyapur is a world ruled by violence with insane characters who do not make good, logical choices. And as a viewer, this makes for great storytelling. Dunyapur is a story of warring families with two lovebirds caught in the middle. Sound familiar? And yet, Pakistan's answer to Romeo and Juliet is more violent, more ruthless, and more unpredictable than previous versions. Why is Dunyapur at number 9? Had Dunyapur been 16 episodes instead of 24, the impact would have been stronger. Pamal takes the 8th position. When Pamal first began, audiences saw Malika fall into a toxic marriage, swooped up by her naivety and idealistic notions of romance. However, as the show progressed, the show promoted the importance of financial independence and the importance of a woman being able to navigate life with or without a spouse. Because can one ever predict the turns life can and will take? Sure, Pamal was a grim watch, but it was required to drive home that necessary point. Jinn Ki Shaadi, Unki Shaadi is at the 7th position, a show which had viewers unsure of what to expect hearing the title itself, but wound up being an absolute laugh riot with the perfect tinge of sinister. What happens when Ali, a young man with a family secret he must unearth, falls in love with Khushi, who happens to be a jinn? Throw in Ali's hilarious brother and sister-in-law, an unwanted love angle and her interfering mother, and a slew of troublemaking jinns, and Jinn Ki Shaadi, Unki Shaadi will take you for a ride. Logic does not have a part to play in this drama, which requires its viewer to surrender themselves to this supernatural narrative. But if it's entertainment you're looking for, this is where you'll find it. At the number 6 spot is Karze Jaan. This story follows Nashwa, a young, bright lawyer with a complicated family background which has forced her and her mother into many difficult situations in their life. Through Karze Jaan, we watch one romance fulfilled, while another romance is, once again, destined to wait, a cycle doomed to repeat itself. Karze Jaan has so many twists, turns, and romance in store, and genuinely incredible performances. Now, had Karze Jaan maintained that same grip in the final bulk of episodes, this could have easily found itself at the number 2 position. And yet, it's still a beautiful show worth watching. At the 5th spot is a choice that may be unusual for many, and it's Nagab. Nagab follows Iman, a sheltered, naive, and somewhat irritating girl from a small town who comes to Karachi to study and winds up staying with friends of her father. While her love story kicks off with Ahad, her nature winds up getting her pulled into many different plots and conspiracies against her. Nagab is a tale of lies, manipulation, and deceit, with all of the lead characters wearing this veil, or Nagab, of what they want to be perceived as. And as the narrative moves forward, you realize no one is what they initially appeared to be. Now, yes, Nagab is a soap with an exhausting 62 episodes, but it is a gripping, addictive story with an overall excellent message, and is definitely worth your time on a rainy day, or week, or month. At the number 4 spot is a show that could have been at the number 3 spot had it not allowed Gio to step in and force a few weeks of dragging. Case number 9 followed Seher, an independent divorced woman who is assaulted by her boss, and so begins a lengthy, drawn-out trial in a society where women rarely receive the necessary support. Case number 9 is an engaging, riveting, honest look at the Pakistani justice system and how it is set up to fail those who need it the most. The victims. You will not regret watching this drama. At the 3rd spot is Jamaat Taqseem. Jamaat Taqseem follows Qais and Layla, a young couple in love who grapple with different ideals and different family setups post-marriage. Essentially about the joint family system, Jamaat Taqseem highlights the issues that arise when too many people are living under one roof, but it dares to take it even further, discussing harassment and abuse within a household and how the young can fall prey. This show is not idealistic or unrealistic, nor does it force the idea of family harmony. Rather, it emphasizes the need for boundaries and highlights the fact that even within a loving family, space is a requirement. This is a beautiful show with sweet characters who will win your heart. When a show airs too early in the year, it tends to suffer a certain fate, the audience forgetting the details. But Farrar held on to that second position with all its might and did not let go throughout the entire year. Farrar followed 6 individuals, their pasts, and their attempts to escape that past. But can you ever really leave your past behind? This is a high-action, slick story with converging storylines and powerful performances from all. But most of all, it's a very meaningful story. When it boils down to it, Farrar asks an important question. How many people in the subcontinent, and even on this side of the world, allow themselves to be brainwashed and led by so-called leaders? Don't be a scapegoat. Educate yourselves. Think for yourselves. Farrar is a masterpiece. And at the #1 position, this should not be a surprise, is Tanman Nilo Neel. This drama was by far the most beautiful, the most impactful, the most heart-wrenching show of 2025. Tanman Nilo Neel introduces audiences to Rabi and Sonu, 2 innocents with the drive to create a name for themselves. We meet them and their families and are thrown into their world of complicated relationships, to the consequences of possessiveness, to male SA, to the abuse of power and the misuse of that unspeakable law. Tanman Nilo Neel is more than just a story about a young couple. It's the story of every young person with hopes, dreams, and a bright future, and how the ugliness of society can impact that future. Along with the excellent cast, this is also Saifi Hassan and Mustafa Afridi proving time and time again that they are masters of their craft. If you have not seen Tanman Nilo Neel, not only is it a must-watch, it's a necessary watch. Alright, those are my top 10, rather 11, Pakistani dramas of 2025. Which of your favorites did not make the cut? And will they feature on my next list? Next week we will discuss the special mentions of 2025, the shows that could have been on this list but didn't make the cut for one reason or another. See you then.